Welcome, everybody, to another exciting edition of the Triple B Experience where I go one-on-one. And this time, I'm doing something a little different because usually I've been on his show numerous times, and we are going to get the lowdown. This gentleman is a producer and the owner of Sorgatron Media. He's also the producer of indywrestling.us. He's the host and podcaster that I've been on a couple of times, and every independent wrestler and wrestlers around the area have been on numerous times. It's called the Wrestling Mayhem Show. It is my honor and privilege to bring in this guy because he does a lot of stuff for a lot of professional wrestling companies all over the United States and a lot here in Western Pennsylvania. So it's my honor to bring on Mr. Michael Sorg. Sorg, how you doing?
Doing great today, and busy today too. It's not just.
What does your day consist of?
Oh
Sorg?
my God! Today is the last day I could get my license, and I need it for rental cars in LA this weekend. I had 2 videos that have to get done by the time I leave town this week. We ran off to a 412 Thrive event up at Dive Bar, the North Shore North Hills. And then got back just in time to do this show. And I got a couple other things I need to get sorted since I'm leaving town this weekend.
You got
That's
your
today.
ready?
That's
Yeah.
today. Tomorrow's
Oh my
podcast day. So,
Yeah. So what made you get into this kind of industry?
I it's actually funny. I ended up going to the Art Institute for Multimedia and Web Design. I remember I got so much flack because my aunt and uncle went to like Carnegie Mellon and they're engineers with like Procter and Gamble stuff. And they're like, and it was like, yeah, I could do that. I'm smart enough to do that. I know that. I don't want to do that. And I really just kind of started with what job am I going to hate the least? And kind of fell into multimedia. Didn't think I could do video because it was like 2000. I thought I had to go to California, and then everything kind of built and came into place. You know what I mean? Everything became more accessible, and it was like, oh wait, I can do this. Oh wait, we can do this. Doing safety training for videos for like 7 years as technology kind of caught up, and I was like, oh, we can make a go at this. Okay.
So you did a lot of stuff in high school growing up with some video stuff, taking a camcorder, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I was the guy that was just like had a camcorder everywhere the last couple of years of school. I by choice went to a different high school when I figured out I could do it because I had family there. I'm like, hey, I want to live with you, and because you have like a football team and a media department and stuff. And I was producing the live daily news that broadcast in the school in 1999. So like that's kind of where it started from, and I'm basically doing the same thing now. It just people are wearing a lot less clothes.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, the wrestlers,
Yeah. So, I mean, did you have did you growing up, besides being in the video stuff, was you a professional wrestling fan growing up?
Oh yeah, I'm Hulk Hogan all the way into the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh,
I
okay.
often say I don't think I saw it live. I feel like I saw it on a tape or something. Maybe I saw it live, but my earliest memory of wrestling is the Hulk Hogan Paul Orndorff blue cage match from Saturday Night's Main Event where they both hit at the same time.
Okay.
I remember seeing the Saturday Night's Main Event, watched like Sunday morning WWF Superstars right after, always waiting for the hour of Power church show to end on my local TV so I could watch it, and grew up with all of it. Honestly, fell out of wrestling only because like it moved the cable and my dirt road didn't. Until we got
I feel your pain.
yeah, till we got
Yep.
like Prime Star Satellite in '96, and it was like a week before Scott Hall showed up at WCW, and it was
Wow.
the best time to show up back in wrestling.
So you went from Orndorff and Hogan, a little bit
Yeah.
of sporadic, delay, and then
Mm-hmm.
right into the NWO.
Yeah. I was up till probably I started probably falling out around WrestleMania 10-ish. Living off of the VHSs, never saw a pay-per-view, never bought a pay-per-view until 1996, never bought a WWF one until
Have you
SummerSlam
ever
98.
you never been to a live show or?
I never made it to a live show, which is wild because we were
Wow.
not far. I'd never been to a live show until a friend. I was probably the only guy, probably the only kid in school that was nice to this guy in school. and he was a big wrestling fan, and he's like, "Can you come? You want to come with my family to Civic Arena?" And I'm from up in Mercer County. We're like an hour and a half away, which is you know a lifetime. So we went to a house show, and it was the weekend that Taz had the ECW belt. He didn't wear it out, but it was like when he just won it off of Mike Awesome, because they had that whole deal going on with him. And then of course when I came down here for school, I was, whenever I could, I tried to make it to the arena. It's always wild to me, because I always got, like, we got our news out of Youngstown, and that's where, like, Richfield Coliseum is where, like, Survivor Series was and things. I'm just like, I'm always like, Mom, they're in all the time. I always saw this, like, it felt like it was forever. Like, you're just like, oh, we'll never make it to that. But it's like, it was 45 minutes away. That's nothing.
Yeah. You
You
travel all across the United States now, so you can imagine 45 minutes from your house to go see a WWE show is kind of crazy.
I'll drive further to get a bite to eat in the city, So I'm like, Mom, why did we never go to wrestling? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, you knew I had the magazines and everything. Wait, we never went to a show,
Wow.
So, but no, but my parents were great to me and everything.
Right,
So it was just a wow, just like, how did that never connect?
But your parents were also fans of wrestling too?
My mom does not get it, but my dad was definitely watching it with me and stuff. So
okay. And
he would always give me he's just like, oh, remember the Iron Claw, when we were kids, give me the Iron Claw in the stomach, and like Baron von Raschke and everything like that. And I was so pleased with a friend of ours, Beastman. Was it Rashki that he was in a battle royal with a couple years ago, I think, actually?
Probably,
and he's like getting the claw from him and stuff. I'm just like, that's just great. It's coming back full circle.
Have you ever had any ambitions to jump into the ring ever?
Oh, of course. We had backyard wrestling. God, I remember in elementary school, we were wrestling out at the end of the playground where the teachers couldn't see us most of the times, So like, yeah, oh, absolutely. Took a couple bump classes and was like, I don't think it's going to work for me. So, but I was also not physical, like, I wasn't never athletic. I tried basketball and amateur wrestling in elementary school, actually. And just, it didn't work for me. I tried to go out for football, but had a whole summer working out in a gym and weights and stuff, and then found out that was the last year that the school was doing the deal with mine to be able to share students for football. So like I never got into anything. I was in a bowling league.
What's wrong? Hey, now it's pickleball league. So I mean, hey, it's something. Okay, I mean, sometimes it's not for everybody, and also too, but being in, you are in this business. No matter what, you don't have to be in the ring to do it. You're doing a lot of stuff.
I did enough to respect it, I know what a bump feels like, and honestly, I always kind of joked that I was like, it's kind of saved my life a few times, because I don't know if you recall, I think it was the first show I did with you, when you rebooted APWF, I was mad about some stuff that was going on, and on the headset going on. Me too. Your boys that were retiring that night, I can't remember their names.
Team Tap Out.
Thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, this son of a bitch, da 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 da. And you had those big steps. I tumbled right over them and didn't get hurt. Like, how many times I've saved my ass? I've fallen down a whole flight of steps, and I know to like instinctively back bump, and save my ass, so I'm thankful for that skill set I got from the little bit, but I definitely a couple training sessions are just like, this isn't going to work out. I just fell on my head. I might have concussion. And I just started, I'm too clumsy for this stuff,
it's not for everybody. And
it's
very hard for.
But I get to be really close to it, and sometimes in on it, and then sometimes, in a steel cage filming Marshall Gambino lighting in the chest flexor, lighting a table on fire, and wondering what my life choices have been. Those kinds of things.
So what made you? I mean, while you're going to college and stuff like that, what made you get into this whole dynamics with the video, the production?
I'm always into it. I was always filming my my friend's band. I had my own rap group for a little bit there in the mid 2000s. And actually, I was just always like, gotta have a camera. Hey, why aren't we filming this? Hey, let's do this. And I actually didn't even discover local independent wrestling until like 2006. Found it on like the local WBGN. I think it was Karen IWC. I saw the John McChesney Super Indie run with Low Key and all them, where his chest got all chopped to hell. He's been reposting those matches lately.
Yeah.
And then I actually ran into Jason Gorey at a Dope concert, and I knew he know me from the Juggalo community stuff I was doing, because I made a website. We were doing stuff. We were teaming with people and doing Juggalo Day down at Kennywood and everything with like 200 people, and doing CD release parties and stuff, and other artists that were in that kind of world, right? And he runs into me. He's wearing a Shaggy 2 Dope Fuck Off shirt, and was like, "You should come see IWC." And I knew of him from being in the group and stuff. Like I knew Facade as a Juggalo before he was a wrestler, right? And then it's weird, going to Hollow Wicked with him so many years later as talent, right? But yeah, and I started going there, started bringing all the friends. We just started the podcast, Wrestling Mayhem Show, in like January 2006, and we
started 2006. The podcast show. And so podcasting was a little different back then than it is now.
Right. And even before then, we were streaming. I had what was it called? It was a Shoutcast server, and you could pull it up on Winamp and live stream. And we were doing live radio shows. I had people would dial into it, and it's just like a tower sitting in my back room on Comcast internet, so we could get a hot 12 people to tune in before it fell apart, because that was the bandwidth we had at the time. And it was like, well, let's do this wrestling show, and we were playing Juggalo music and whatever. Nobody's copyrights BDM, and all this stuff, and like some kid from California is logging into it and doing whatever the hell he wants and everything, right? And then we're like, well, let's try the wrestling thing, and then like it became, we're doing it Monday, after Raw, and it became, let's do it Tuesday, and we started going to that, and this is the funny thing is, like, I out of everything I've done over the last decade or so, I haven't asked to do any of it. Like, people find me. Norm Connors at IWC was like, hey, something's up with Jesse. Can you do the website for a bit? Which turned into Tony F, who was Digital Horizons. I was doing videos saying, hey, I need a camera guy. You do the website. This stuff, right? I was like, yeah, sure. And then he bowed out, and I took over in 2012, and it was off to the races, because I'm like, I'm going to figure this out, and I've wanted to do this, and I want, this is the world I want to kind of live in, and I think we can get in front of more people, and all these years later, I feel like we are producing the most watched professional wrestling in the city.
Oh, I believe that. I would attest to that. And that's from all your experience in the education process and actually networking. So your networking skills are tremendous. So you're always networking. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, I believe in whenever like I was down in the dumps on stuff, I was like, okay, I just need to be louder. I need to show off, not show off, but I need to do more and show people what I'm doing. And that leads to, hey, can you do this? Hey, I see you do this. Can you do this for me? That's been my philosophy with this. This is my philosophy with clients. Literally the biggest client I have, the one that pays for most of this, is because we were doing a conference called PodCamp Pittsburgh that a friend of mine, Justin Kanaki, that I was working with back in the old job. It was an unconference thing from a guy out of Boston, started it up, and it was kind of like all over the place, and free thing that we were doing. And I was talking about the podcast with my friend Katie, and in just social media in general, and doing some sessions, and somebody was in there, was like, hey, we need a podcast for this collegiate competition engineering thing. It's like Baja cars and Formula cars and aero design. That's literally where I'm going this week, is we're starting travel season for aero design. And she's like, we need a podcast to communicate with the students. This is 2016. And I was like, no, you need video. And this is how I travel. If you see me at Disneyland, it's because I probably work down the road in Lakeland, Florida that weekend. You know what I mean?
Right. So, you're everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, I'm literally going to Disney next week because we're going to be in Van Nuys over the weekend for work. So, and we're finally bringing live streaming to all those events on the corporate level too. So, like, I'm going to be in a field in a pumpkin patch in Tucson, Arizona, streaming Baja. We're going to be at MIS in Michigan, Michigan International Speedway, streaming Formula. And the beautiful thing is, between the training and this networking, I'm literally bringing in all the people from wrestling that I work with, and We all know what the pay scale is in wrestling, if there is one.
Yeah.
And I get to bring them there and say, hey, we're going to put you up in an Airbnb. We're going to feed you. We're going to travel you, and you're going to get paid like this much. And I'm just watching their heads spin. You know, I was like, this is what we've been working for. Thank you for being with us. Let's fucking go. You know, and I it's never failed. Like if you get through, you know, if I worked wrestling shows with you, I have more of a respect and a I trust you, you know. First time I met some of the GoPro guys that do GCW now, Ash and Billy, we were doing an MMA show. It's one of the first ones they let me do it by myself, this Maverick MMA. And I'm like, I don't have all the good stuff yet. I'm patching stuff together. These guys show up and I'm like, God, what video guys are they going to send me? Right. And they're like, oh yeah, we do like wrestling stuff up in Rochester. I'm like, you're my guys. Let's go. You know, I got Nick from New Fear City coming in that weekend too. And I was like, okay, I know him a little bit from being here in Pittsburgh. I know he does this stuff, you know, like I know those crews. Like I don't know him, but I know those crews. Right.
Right.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing is, so when I'm training there on Thursday nights with our friends at 880, I'm not just training for you to go do an RWA show or something. I'm hoping it turns into you get an opportunity to go to New Japan. You get an opportunity to do this. You go to like, you know, hey, go do this conference with me. And it's hilarious when we do like a conference or something, or like, this is boring and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, yeah, but you're getting paid like 10 times what you normally get paid to be here. I was like,
let's talk a little bit what you do on Thursday nights now from what you know, this is something new that hasn't just started.
New, it's about 2.5 years.
Well,
2 years.
You know what I mean? It's because of the COVID, I believe, right?
It's the newest. No, I had nothing to do with COVID, actually.
No? Okay.
Nothing to do with COVID. No, MV Young was returning to Pittsburgh and wanted to start his stuff up. He was part of the T2T Brooklyn up there, and I think he was just doing his, you know, T2T Pittsburgh franchisee thing. And I can't remember. Like, I think I did a polycult for him. I think that was during he was doing these polyam called party shows during COVID. You know, he did one here, he did one up in Brooklyn. I did one of his Brooklyn ones. So, you know, we started chatting about stuff and he wanted to start this thing up and had his idea for it and what they wanted to do. And I was like, well, I've been kind of like from the Fight Underground that we worked together on. You know, I was just like, I would love to do something where I am training video people here and not sending them to RWA in West Newton, you know, or somewhere else. Like I'm, you know, like I need people to go there, but I need them to be ready to go there because I'm not always going to be the one directing them, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, well, if we do this, you know, we can bring people in. It's a regular basis and then we can try things out before we go to something else. And I love the vibe of like the polycall parties that they were doing and other stuff he does because I love this punk rock, you know, vibe that they're doing. A very cool thing, very open, definitely welcoming to the LGBT community as well. So which you know before things like Enjoy and everything here in town, like I mean, it's nothing was like, you know, against any of that stuff, but it was like it was cool that like this was like very openly and different vibe, and you know, and
the masses, in my opinion, have actually rallied for that.
Yeah,
because the Enjoy shows have been tremendous. MVW shows have been very, very well received. And this is coming from me like way north of the situation. So you're
feeling the rumblings out there, right?
Yeah, I do. And it's all good. And you're giving opportunities to these people to get to other federations to work because you can't be everywhere.
Absolutely. And I always say, like, I know when Enjoy came up and people are like, oh, isn't there a promotion and this, that, and the other thing, I'm just like, listen, like people go to Enjoy that would never go to your show and vice versa. Like this is a different vibe. It's a different kind of show. I always show our friends, you know, RWA. I love work. RWA is the group that I've worked with for the longest time. You know, amazing that they're the most reliable people I've worked with in the last 15 years. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like for length of time and everything. And I don't think I've seriously butt heads with them like once in those 15 years. We did a little bit at the beginning, but you know, we got over that and got
right. I know this is a hard business.
It is.
You know how it is. And you see the personalities and egos that go like this. And I think sometimes you're like a peacemaker because you see stuff at a different angle than other people do.
Yeah. Well, and they were just starting up and I don't think a lot of people know this, but my wife actually, I think, drew up the papers for them to start the promotion. And we were going to be a little more hands-on with that. And then something was said somewhere along the line, and we're like, nope, we're gone, you know, but it came back together, and I think it's really cool, and they got a really solid thing going there. But I always call it like RWAs and the 2PWs and what you do, like just kind of for context, is like, oh, that's like the classic wrestling show. Like there's a ring and people sitting and there's a barricade and right? Versus like your enjoys and your 880s are that like punk rock, like, oh, people are standing. I want to say a bar show, but like it's not the appropriate thing to say for it, but like that's the closest thing I can think of, like no, everybody's standing. So you got two things. First of all, the show can't go 13, 15 matches because everybody's standing. You're going to lose them. There's alcohol involved, so you got a different vibe. And they're standing like 5 feet from the ring, or if not on the ring. Right. So and it brings a whole different energy. Like this show that we did this past weekend for 880, it was the Nick's Wild Painted Black show. And like I feel like we got so many of our communication things down, because we were really trying to hone that in, because we're still growing into the new space and figuring things out, and the vibe and everything.
And where is that new space now? Because it wasn't, it was a new Ken. You guys moved it to where?
South Side. It's the former One Up skate shop. If you come out of Liberty Tire down PJ McArdle, it's like right around the corner. It's crazy. But hey, back to the start about the kind of the vision. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Envy's coming in, and I was like, hey, I'd like to do this kind of thing, a regular weekly thing, and we turned it into the Thursday night fights. And it was like, oh, cool. He had his first. We waited for basically his first batch of students to graduate, and that was I hit something. There we go. Nope, there we go.
There we go.
Got my switcher here. And it was like he had his first batch, kind of ready to go. So like you can go see them. They're rough. We're figuring out the room. We're figuring out what to do. We got people that they're kind of new to filming. The wrestlers are new to wrestling. You know what I mean? And it's the guys there all over the place. It's Gianni Michael Enrico. It's Reese Hayes. It's Brandon St. James. It's Nick's Wild. People that I just seen them evolve has been freaking amazing over the last like 2 years. And that's it. Like it grew. People started showing up. It's free on Thursdays, and do one big one. So that became a thing where, like, between the consistency and quality's not over there. It's a training show. Everybody's like, oh, you should, they're, it's like, it's a bad wrestling show. I'm like, no, it's a training show. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's the point of it. And we say it. That's why the logo's in the corner. Hey, we're training video people. We're doing this. And it attracts people that want to be behind the camera. It attracts people that to the school, and those people get reps. I cannot think of anything in this area with respect to the schools. There's a lot of very good schools here in this area that produce a lot of great talent that you see on TV every week. But I can't think of anything where you're getting experience as a wrestler, a new wrestler, in front of fans, in front of cameras, to learn how to work that too. Because how many people, Bob, you probably see this. How many people I've seen like 5-10 years and don't know where a hard cam is? In this business. I know. Like I felt bad talking to your referees at one time.
No, it's okay.
But I was definitely not in a good mood that night. I'm sorry, apologize.
That's
for
okay.
That. But like that, like you're starting there, and then we get the opportunity to work with EC3's promotion Exodus, which is now NWA Exodus Pro.
Right.
And seeing how they run it. Like I'm in a production meeting with EC3 and the former Damian Sandow, and then just, randomly like Murdoch shows up, and these other guys like really good. And even J-Rock has got a pretty good wrestling head on his shoulders. So.
And how long have you been doing that with Exodus?
Their second show, whenever that. Well, I think we're on and off.
Was that last year?
Maybe mid to late 2023.
Okay.
And right now they stream on NWA's YouTube, but like we're looking at how they do things, and I'm like I will, and I've said it to them. I'm like, I'm learning from you guys, and I want to bring it to this training school so they can come to you ready to know how all this works. I don't want to work a show where we're just happen to be filming wrestling anymore. I want a show where we're integrated in the show. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what's happening at Exodus. They're training. It is TV. despite the fact for over a year we were filming shows and they weren't going anywhere, we were still filming TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to the point where now we're doing, okay, now let's just do it on NWA YouTube. It's only the biggest platform any of these people have been on, like regularly it's getting 20,000 views, 500 people in the chat room at a time through the entire night. Like, it's crazy, right? Like the only thing bigger I think I've touched is the New Japan America shows, or WrestleCon weekend or something like that. So that's, and you're seeing guys like Cowpoke Paul go up there, you know what I mean? And they're
he's
getting
phenomenal. He's phenomenal. He's booked on our show in June, and I know he's getting a lot more appearances everywhere. So it's hard to get some guys all the time. Yeah,
he's doing the right thing though. Is he's getting the F out of Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
like he did the right thing. He worked. So there's a philosophy. This is what I'm. Sorry. I'm on my. You got me on the roll now.
No, it's okay. I want you.
I always say this, man, because like I see this. I've seen it so many times because you see so many people. You probably see it. People that like work at the region. I'm like, great, you're working like 4 shows in Pittsburgh, but nothing else, and acting like you're top shit, And then you see, I'm watching the facade goes out and does stuff and becomes bigger. Frost and Benjamin went out and did stuff. Lee started like Cowpoke worked every damn thing he could. As they say that first year, like trying to get as many cage matches as he could on cagematch.com. And then like he's doing the right thing. It was like, I don't see Cowpoke anymore. Oh, he's in Florida. Oh, he's in Kentucky. Oh, he's wherever he's at. I was like, that's the thing. Like if you work your ass off, get good in those first 2 years in a familiar environment, and then get out and figure out how this business really works.
It also shows them you're always wanted if you're gone. And I always tell people, get out of here, because you'll always be, if you're a star in my company, okay, you're going to be a star somewhere else, and go ahead and go do something, because I know when you come back, you're going to be a bigger star than what you were when you were with me. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like, you got to get out of the Pittsburgh area and always come back. Pittsburgh's not going anywhere.
And if you're a promotion, like a regional promotion, like you should not be mad about somebody leaving you for bigger pastures, not greener pastures, but bigger pastures, right?
No, I am not.
Like, yeah. So
I mean, I think it's just how it is, though, and you have to. And it's been many, many years for me, and being the ins and outs, and I've been screwed over and did whatever in my life, and I try to give people opportunities, and there's a lot of opportunities now. Now, sometimes there's too many opportunities in Pittsburgh, because how do you, if you got 3 shows that you got to do, how are you supposed to incorporate all your video people to go to all these places all on a Saturday night?
Well, that's been a problem. That's actually been a problem. Because for a period, we were working with, just in the greater Pittsburgh region, about 4 or 5 promotions. I think we were up to 5 promotions. That would include like Wheeling, West Virginia, right? And that's not including Big League Pro / Revenge up in Erie. What else we were doing at the time? Or Warrior Wrestling was calling me up to do things, or New Japan would need us to do some things, or I have my regular clients. Like, I disappeared. I often disappear for 3 months of the year, starting this month. And it was like, okay, I need people to support these shows because I can't do them anymore. But and it's not like they are the thing that's paying the rent. So it's like, how do we prioritize these things? But also that's how we develop this whole idea to get people in these positions, find out how reliable they are. So when something that I've been striving for is finally come to fruition, like now we can upgrade them into this. You know what I mean? Like I actually, when I was doing the list for everybody coming to this big event in May that I'm doing, and there's like 8 of us going up here. And I was like, okay, I need context. I'm like, okay, we got the guy that does the YouTube videos from Detroit. We got 2 guys from Exodus that help us out that I think have been really awesome. We have somebody who might happen to be a Gambino. We got the guy that does the video for Enjoy, and I just like put like what promotion they're from in my list, and was like, oh my god, they're all wrestling people. You know what I mean? Like It was just like, okay, like they know this, they know a starting point. I know they'll get along together. Because if I worked with all of them, like I booked the people that I think will get along with, the place and everything. Because I've done,
and it's going to get done, and it's going to get done.
Exactly. I've had a horror story, a non-wrestling horror story. We were doing something on an auto drive track at University of Michigan, and somebody had a problem, and we're like, okay, we need to remove him from the situation. I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know if it's somebody, like our clients are getting pissed at him for a reason that's not justifiable, but he needs to leave.
Mhm.
And he started walking out on the, if the track is active, like in scoring, which is not a fast car situation. It's an automated car, and it's maybe going 5 miles an hour, we hope, but still, if you go out there, you're going to trip sensors and all these kinds of things. And so I'm like, no, you can't go out there. I have to wait to take you off site, and it became a whole thing. And I started to decide, figure out who the problem was. But also, this was somebody that was a last minute fill-in that I did not work with, especially in a pro wrestling capacity. So, like, if you work in pro wrestling, you have to deal with everything
Yes.
and anything,
Yes.
at the moment. Well, that's not my responsibility. Well, it is if this show is going to go down. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I have a great conversation about this with Casey War. He comes from live music production background, and was like, well, it's not my responsibility, but it's going to have to be because nobody else is taking it, and otherwise this show is going to go down in flames. So
yeah.
but
So
yeah,
I mean,
trust me, giving power away to other people that are under my is the hardest damn thing. I have become a little bit of a control freak. That's why I'm usually the director.
well, there's
And
nothing wrong with that because you got
no,
so much going on, and you have to make sure everything is tight and
right,
everything
right.
is everything's got to be like this. It has
That's
to be.
I've had to work a lot on trust over the last 5
Right.
years.
And you actually, you're like, even in the shows that you've done with, hey, Bubba, can we do it this way? Bubba, I see something differently. Let's do it this way. And you know what I mean? You actually come up to me and like, hey, this can't be. And that you did tell me about the refs. Bub, your referees need to know where the hard cam is. And I was like,
Well,
yes, they will. You
and
know what I
that
mean? So,
was
and
and,
that's how it
and
is.
and that's another thing. Like, I don't want to be just. I feel like I was at too many places, and I felt like we got shoved aside as the video team on a couple of places where it was like, oh, we're not part of the conversation. We're just doing this, and you're doing our show, and we just have to keep up and point a camera. And like somebody insultingly just like, oh, you guys just hit record and shut up. Was one thing we got years ago,
Oh, wow.
and I was just like,
Shit.
all right, cool. Well, F this,
Yeah.
So I don't want to be just the people to show up and do video for a show that's happened to be happening. I was like, if this is a show that people are going to see, like we're streaming that time. That's probably why I got so hot about it. I was like, you're on my platform. People are watching this.
Mm-hmm.
When the ring announcer, not your show, but when the ring announcer looks at me and says, when the hard cam's on one side and all the crowd's on the other side, well, I want to face the crowd. And it was like, all right, there's going to be more people behind that camera than in the audience. So I don't know what you want to do here,
Right.
So and that's the truth of it, and if it needs to look good, then you look as good as possible. Because my philosophy right out of the gate when I was working, promotions I was working for was like, what do I need to do to make this look as close to WWE as possible? This is 2012, so that people will respect it more and give it a chance and find what I love about it. One thing that always sticks in my head, there was a big main event at IWC that was Ray Rowe versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, that's long ago. Okay.
That's Ivar from the Viking Experience,
Mm-hmm.
Viking Raiders, whatever they are these days, the current tag champions in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my God, what a match. And I think I'm in the crowd at this point. And I remember Joe is in TNA at the time, perhaps doing those that I don't, maybe his Kurt Angle matches, at least the Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles series. And somebody beside me in the crowd is just like, man, Joe's really falling down if he's here with us at this
Wow.
show. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that is the attitude, like it or not, of a lot of people in your indie wrestling audiences. Well, you're in a gymnasium and such, how good could so and so be doing? It's just
They
like,
don't understand. They
no,
have
they don't
no
understand.
idea. They have
No,
no idea what the budget and how to get
nope,
and how much these
nope.
guys cost. And if you don't have all your ticket pre-sales and you don't have them coming through the
Yep.
door and you don't have 500 people
Well,
sitting, they don't understand. Well, hey, maybe my mortgage ain't getting paid because
yeah.
I'm making sure the boys are being paid.
Or
They
that's
don't
a
know
rub.
that.
That's a rub on that, or maybe you're at a place that attracts that talent, or something like that. Like that's Sunny Kiss has been on AEW TV and is not any lesser being at Mr. Small's Theater. You know what I mean? And in
But
fact, getting more
star.
press. In fact, getting more press right now because of some of the stuff they've been doing over there, which is
And
crazy.
Kiss is on national. She's been on national TV, and getting a lot of publicity. So
and more people I think understand that these days, but obviously back then, we didn't have YouTube, the internet to see that
everything
things were just
social
as good.
media has killed us and helped us all at the same time.
Exactly. I lean in wrestling, I lean for the more helpful. So,
I do too, and I do too. And you actually on the last show come up to me and you're like, "Hey, Bubba, what do you think about streaming this on YouTube?" That wasn't me. That was all you. And you're like,
we happen
Bubba,
to be available.
And you're like, this is how we do it,
nothing
Bub.
else
And give me the thing for your laptop, do whatever. And to me, people saw that show in Australia because I have a buddy in Australia that was watching it.
Yeah.
So I thought to me that was the fucking cat's meow. I thought that was awesome.
What is it? There's a kid. I don't know the kid. There's an account wrestling internet wrestling database or something. And God, what country is he from? It's another country, I think in South America, who catalogs the entrance music for wrestlers. And always is messaging us for 880 Wrestling to figure out what that song was somebody came out to.
See?
Like that's the thing. Like when I say most to watch, like I cannot tell you, like obviously I think Enjoy does very well with their show, like but they have a different format than us. Like I cannot tell you much else that's more consistent that isn't like OVW or something, right? That's been doing this for a while. So like I hate to say proud because I don't like using the word proud. But like I'm very happy and full of, like I think we've done something very cool here, and create a platform and even like, one of the reasons more eyeballs are, on your product when you get to stream it is because we're attracting so many people on Thursday nights, like I know that I know even before this, my this stuff has been seen by every major promotion, if not on their server somewhere, and has gotten people jobs. You know what I mean? In every major promotion, in some manner, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to send this to so and so at so and so. Like I get the messages from the guys. I know this for a fact, and that's kind of the let's elevate.
Yes,
I'm
I'm not saying it I'm not an ass kisser by any means, but your stuff makes my stuff look way more professional. It does. I see a whole bunch
and
of
that's and that's the mission. You guys, like your job as a promoter is to put some good talent in there to have a killer match. My job is to enhance that so they look even better. That to make get more eyes on them and your promotion and everything, right? And if the match stinks, what did Paul Heyman say? Just like cover up the cover.
Yeah.
I forget how he said it, but you know what I mean. The whole Paul, hide the deficiencies and enhance it, right? And that's what we're doing. Like we're trying really hard to make sure, man, that there was some distance on that punch. Let's not use that angle. Oh no, stuff like that. To make you guys, look as good as you can on you see that at WWE, I remember guys saying, oh, he used to go to WWE and I've watched it. It looked like they're dancing in there, and that's right. Like if you're in the front row of WWE, you're going to notice they don't always connect either, so like that's the point of it, especially with the young guys, trying to be like, hey, you might want to, but in the meantime, hey, we covered that up. You're good. You didn't look like the asshole tonight, as much as we can, and that's the thing. And it does always weird me out when people ask me for advice on their matches, and I'm like, I'm not a wrestler, but I do know what things look like and are supposed to look like.
But also too, in the production end, and they ask you for that, that's a major key because they're looking for that, because you can make it look like $1 million in a video package that they send somewhere else.
And this is the other fantasy. I don't know if you know about this part, Bubba, but like this is something that really wowed me out when it started happening. This happened in the first like 6 months when we started doing that weekly show. Like kids were coming down from Brooklyn to do a free show on Thursdays. People were coming from like, I think Indiana, Cleveland, like like I've heard crazy stuff. I think we've had some
Wow.
Canadians, right? For a Thursday show. And we're like, why are all these people here? This is a free show. Like that was really surprising. And I know Envy's got the connections and everything too.
Right.
But it was like, oh, we don't have footage where we're from.
Mm.
They're coming for the footage. The talent is showing up for the footage.
That's like
right?
a payday right there for them.
Because that's the thing. And you go see some people's highlight reels and it's like 80% our footage. So, we're, contributing to that matter. Like, and and also like, and I say this and it sounds like, all, the more I make other people look good, the more they're going to create opportunities for us as well. Cause that's what gets us, God, who got me, I think Roby, Rex, Brody was like, knew I did Revenge. They knew the job I do there, and I'm on out of nowhere, I'm on a phone call with EC3. I've never talked to the man before. Big fan of his from, his time.
Mm-hmm.
We used to love him, talk about him all the time on the podcast. And he's just like, hey, we're looking for like B+ stuff for this YouTube project we're doing. And you're like A stuff. I was like, okay, bro, let's go. So, like getting compliments like that or getting opportunities to do, shouts to Mike Moran at E2A up in Cleveland that used to do the old Prime Wrestling shows. He got me that opportunity with WrestleCon, and I ended up working with the guys that I ended up. Bubba, you would have loved this, man. I'm sitting in a ballroom in downtown Dallas doing 3 days of shows for AAA, New Japan, and Impact, and these other shows they got. And it was me and Missy. It was the New Fear City guys. It was the GoPro guys. And God, who else was there? Luke from Texas was there. And then there's a whole other crew that's doing Collective. It was the last weekend that Moran did the Collective, worked with GCW, or at least close to it. Maybe the Hammerstein was after that, but because he did that one too, and I almost did that one. We got another booking.
Was Rob with you?
Rob was not in doubt. Oh wait, was he? What do you think? I don't think he was with us for that. He might have. I don't know, but he's been around a bit.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's great.
But that is the weekend that got like everything else. That's the weekend that got us, our connection with New Japan, because the Patrick Price that produces for them was there all weekend, and that was just like a boot camp of like, what can we all do together, and how can we solve these problems together, and can we survive doing 3 days of shows together?
Well,
you know what I mean?
You did.
And we did. And that was, and look, GoPro's doing, helping GCW on this like meteoric rise. They're the ones behind that right now. As far as the production side, I had an opportunity to go out to Defy and work with them. I knew, I met, was that maybe right before that I started working the Warrior Wrestling shows during COVID, and
I remember that.
That introduced me to Rich Bikini, which introduced me to I did Defy Wrestling's first 2 streaming shows. We were on Pluto TV, and allegedly we had over 30,000 viewers.
Wow.
That was the Moxley Tom Lawler match.
Okay.
This is one of the most beautifully violent matches I've ever had the privilege to produce. This was the way they light things. Those guys knew what they're doing with cameras, much like Scotty does over at Enjoy. And the pictures are amazing. This is up on YouTube. Go back and watch it. It's just one of those, they're a bloody mess because
of course
it's Lawler and Moxley. Mm-hmm. But it was just like they're slapping the crap out of each other. It's all hazing in the lights. Something similar like this happened the last 2 Enjoy shows when I got to produce it. I'm just like, oh, this. And that's what I'm loving is this, when we're in perfect concert with the lighting people know what they're doing, the camera people know what they're doing. Maybe you got somebody that's bringing in the higher end cameras that know how those things work and how to put them together. It's just this great, like it's fucking art, man, and then you guys are in the ring doing what you're supposed to be doing, and we just make that look even better.
It's like you're painting a picture.
My God, between that and then we got like, we're at this freaking rinky-dink warehouse in the South Side, but you got three photographers, including like Aaron Witz's amazing slow-mo shit, and Scotty, doing what he does, and it just makes everything look so much more epic. It just, and if you're a wrestling promotion and don't have a good photographer, and hell, maybe even a cinematographer to make your show look even better than I can, like like you need
Yeah.
that, because that's how you. I always said, like, the video is like, when it was like, hey, we're not making money off the video, I was like, cool, but how are you selling tickets? Because the clips you're putting out, so people know. I know the thing that kept me going from the indie show at first was, I I I I think that going to any event is, for a lot of people, especially those with maybe a little bit of social anxiety. I don't know what I'm getting into. I don't know what the vibe is. I don't know what the experience is
Okay.
like. I
Yeah.
don't know what the building's like. I'm going to DMV this morning, and I'm like, I've never been here before. I don't know what's going to be like. I'm so scared. I walk in, oh, this is fine, right? It's getting over the
And
hump of
you
the
go
roller
into
coaster.
you go into shows different than I am. I'm going into
Right.
shows and seeing how many people are
No,
there.
no, no.
What's the vibe?
Right.
What wrestlers
But as
I
a
could
fan,
actually book.
as
I
as a fresh fan, I'm saying,
yeah.
I'm remembering that first time as a fresh fan, and the more
Okay.
that you put your footage out and let people know what these shows are like, let them know that 880 is a party on Saturday night on the South Side, and it's fun to be at. Let them know that, hey, this is what the vibe is, here, and this is what the wrestling's like, and this is what the room's like. The more people see what that is and know what they're getting into, the more people see the pictures of my space night down at Brillo Box. It was like, that's a place I want to be, and they get
Right.
over that hump, and you
Let me ask
sell a
you
ticket.
another question because I know we're getting. I sometimes I shoot from the hip too. Why can't everybody just get the fuck along and fucking just do what can be done to help independent wrestling in this area, and just everybody take a slice of the pie, and they don't need to be taking the whole pie. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we've had a lot of this conversation off air. Let's see, what's the PC way for me to say this?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, but I mean,
it's a loaded question, Bubba.
yeah.
It's a loaded
I
question
didn't
with
mean to
me,
load it because I catch the heat too, but
because
I feel
my intern's
it.
asking me the same question. I'm like, well, this person did this, and this person did this, and this person did this, and everybody
I
started
know.
promotion because this guy pissed all these people off.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
like, and we really don't want to work with these guys because they kind of do this thing over here, and none of us are okay with it. Like
I
there's a
know.
lot of that. It's just like, well, it's wrestling, it should be all good. I'm like, yeah, some people aren't here for the same reasons.
I just it boggles my mind. I know I have an ego, but also too,
No, it
I
doesn't.
want to
I do
see
too.
I want to see the best. I've seen the worst. I've been around a long time. I remember when there was three companies, and
Hmm.
this was APWF was owned by Chris Lash, and then Norm had Steel City Wrestling, and Jim
Hmm.
Miller had PWX.
Oh my
That
god.
was it. That was all. That was it.
I
Now I
it,
got 30 promotions, which is crazy.
uh-huh. Oh, I see your list. I see your list. I'm like, oh, hey, they're running tonight too, huh? So, but also it's different audiences. No, I
True.
think it's
True.
everybody has an idea. God, I've heard these conversations. I'm going to show people how to do wrestling the right way. I'm like, okay,
I don't know what is the right
go
way
f-
anymore. I
go
have no
for it,
idea.
man. And then
I
they
have no
come
idea.
back after the show. That's how you do a wrestling show. I'm like, cool.
No.
Yeah, it was a
I
wrestling show.
I had a multimillionaire, as could have been a backer for me, and I could have did whatever, and that didn't pan out either. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Oh
how it
my God.
goes.
I sat there when Prime Wrestling was when Prime Wrestling, I think it was the conversion from PWO to Prime, and they got a new money guy coming in. He walks in. I guess he owned an Indian or Cleveland Indians bar at the time, and he's just like, "We're gonna give Vince a run for his money." I'm just like, "Bro, I don't know what you think you're doing. That
Have
ain't
another drink.
happening."
Have another
I'm just
cocktail.
like, you see what Tony Khan can do with all of his money. This is way before that. I'm like, I don't know what you think you're doing, buddy, but as long as everybody here gets paid, I'm okay with it.
Right, right. So
So
let me ask you: do you think you can instill like an institute of filmography to people, that you can get them out there and have them doing this and be like a school? You ever
I
thought of
mean,
that, like a
that's kind of
school
what we're doing. We're not having people pay for it.
accredited? Right.
Well, I am currently, by the way,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know this
I
I
don't.
don't talk about it a lot, but I am officially Professor Sorg now, as the email this morning said. Uh,
Wow, that's breaking news
no,
right there.
I am working with the they put me on a podcasting class. They had to fill in some slots at the Point Park University downtown, which is funny because I did this and I've done teaching. Did PTI before, teaching some web design stuff like a decade ago. But that's a tech school. So when they're like, oh yeah, professor, I'm like, am I a professor? Don't I have to like get a master's for this or something? You know, like, what are
I'd be
we
a
doing
doctor.
here? And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I am. No, and I know the guy. The reason I got that job is because doing Point Park, the guy at the media department there. Again, I told you, I don't get the jobs that I look for. The jobs find me. So, so they're like, I barely interviewed. I just got on a call. I was like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, you know, this and this. I'm like, yeah, I do that. This is what I do. Like, cool. See you in January. I'm like, okay. You know, it's like,
Right.
this is it. I have no input. Like, there's no, like, they're just let me do what I'm doing, which is, I guess this is university life. I talked with Chris Maverick, former wrestler. I don't know if you know his past, but and he's just like, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm like, okay, cool. This is okay. I see why you say this isn't a real job. But anyways, so, and he's at Pitt. But anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I haven't put it in that much of a frame of make this a school university build out thing. I mean, I do have the, inform people so we can grow, and much like wrestling, if I don't get mad when somebody gets a better job because of what they learned from us. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It
Okay.
was
I
like,
understand what you're
okay,
saying.
cool. Oh, cool. I need to teach more people. Like, but also, I'm not, I'm a terrible businessman. Let's put it this way.
Sometimes I am too. So I feel your pain.
I'm working in wrestling. I'm a terrible business person. So instead of doing more of that other thing that's paying the rent, so like, because that whole conversation that I had my wife on and off. So, by the way, my wife is amazing, and I'm hoping she can hear me in the back of the office when I'm saying this, because she has been very supportive of me, and
She
is
does great too. Missy does phenomenal and has taken charge
mhm,
where I've seen where no one took charge and she took charge like
mhm.
no other. And my hat's off to her too. So
You'd
both
think
of you
I'm a
together,
control freak. Wait till you meet my wife. But
she always did.
anyways,
She
but
does
no,
great
she
work.
can run a show. She
Yes,
did
she
did
can.
the Enjoy Wrestling show, like the last one, the directing. She's the point person whenever New Japan wants to stream for the American shows on Fight. She is the person that shows up with the internet and does that. Like she knows more people from New Japan than I do. I showed up at the they're like, hey, can I like drop in? I'm just gonna come up with her and fly out to my other thing that I got to do that weekend, because it was when they're doing the double shot at the Palladium in Times Square of all places. And like, I'm walking in and they're just like, oh, well, I'm Missy's wife. I'm like, oh, you're Mr. Sorg. And I'm just like, this is weird. Like, I'm not prime Sorg here, and it's New Japan.
Mhm.
Like, Rocky Romero knows me as Missy's husband.
Mister. That's
Not
good.
Sorg, not Sorgatron, but like Missy's husband. It was just like, wow, this is cool. But no, she has been so supportive of my insane ideas and things like that, and our arguments about how hashtags for wrestling shows should go, and everything like that. But like she's is so supportive of all this stuff, and creeped into helping out in something that she does not have an apt not an aptitude, but like an original aptitude for. But thankfully, she grew up a wrestling fan. Her grandmother was a huge fan.
That helps.
Would would never like Ric Flair because she always remembered what he did, no matter how much he was a good guy.
Right.
Classically, her grandmother got a Stone Cold 70-some-year-old grandmother Stone Cold shirt, flipping the bird at Christmas.
That's
We were
awesome.
9 rows back in Elmira in a small house show. Ric Flair and Triple H against Batista, and we thought she was going to jump the rail. She
Jump the
was like
rail.
70, 78 years old at the time, right? God bless her. I miss her.
That's nice.
But anyways, but yeah, I mean, I can do all this without like people backing me up like this. My best
Right.
friends are in this and then become directors.
So how many people are all totally in your whole production and in your whole team
Oh,
of production?
hold on, I'll have to go to a spreadsheet for this.
That wow, that many?
I mean, there's people that come and go. Like, there's people
Okay.
that worked with us for a while, and then they gotta,
They
oh,
always
hey,
but
my
if they
job at
leave, they
W.
always can come back. They always have an open
Yeah,
invite.
but
Okay.
it's
So they're
also
never
like
gone.
one of them was a news producer, and now he got a new job at another company, and he's like, "Well, this is my gig now," is like, or the hours don't work anymore, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's been a lot of that kind of stuff. So I mean, I've never done the number on it or anything like that, but
Would you
but
say
also
30?
It's probably been 30 over the years that we've
30
had
over the
regularly.
years?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to think we got like 4 people regular at RWA. I was trying to keep a team when we were doing RWA, VCW, TPW, Rise all at the same time. Rise was the first one that I gave a dedicated team that was there every month. That was not me. And when they let us go, I just shifted all those people to RWA. I'm like, cool, you get to work with Quinn Magnum every month and make this thing kick ass. You know what I mean? And God bless Quinn. He's just like, oh, we have reliable people. Yeah, we're going to use this, and I'm going to let you know what's going on, so we make sure we hit this. You know what I mean? And that started from those conversations when we were doing Fight Underground and Fight Society before that. When I was there for a cup of coffee. But yeah, I mean, I think, Bubba, I've worked at all the bad places. I've worked all the bad shows. I've been in all the bad situations, and now I feel like finally in my life, and if you can call this a career, feel like I can say, no, this is how we're doing it. So
but you have every right to do that.
Yeah, I'm finally accepting that. I probably should have accepted that about like 3 years ago, at least. But and that's not like, I mean, it comes with experience. Like when you've done this as long as I have, we're coming up on 20 years of doing a podcast, which means I've been doing live production streaming on the internet for 20 years, period. Professional wrestling since 2012, live, at least live to tape, if not live to I've been doing live streaming forever. Like we know it. We know this. Like we know how this works. We know how the big guys work. I've worked with TNA. I've had conversations with the AEW, but I literally didn't know their software. So that's the only reason I didn't get hired at AEW, is my understanding. Is I literally don't know how Avid works, or which I'm like, it's an editor. Give me 2 weeks.
Right. Now,
but
if they ask you now, if they called you up right now, you're ready to rock and roll, and you would go. Right now, maybe.
Well, I've thought about that because it was an editing job, and I also know I don't want to be stuck in a basement doing editing again, like when I did 2 decades ago. So the one thing I love about now is I'm not doing the same thing every day.
Okay.
The monotony kills me. I've learned that's probably ADHD in the last couple of years, undiagnosed, but it's looking like it's pretty strong. So the boxes of widgets that my wife bought me tells me so.
Okay, we all have our perks. I mean, I mean, it's I'm OCD, so stuff got to be done a certain way too. So.
Yeah, she's OCD. I'm ADHD. Oh, we have a great relationship. But yeah, but that's all part of it, man. Like God, if it wasn't for Chachi and Katie Dutters, a lot of people, the 2PW kicking cancer's ass champion. I keep trying to remind her, is like, no, you're a wrestling champion. You can walk into any show. You can do this, So, but yeah, like it's incredible, and it's just like I'm at an okay spot. I know like not everybody's running that we used to work with, and I'm kind of okay with.
Sometimes it's the fluctuation of society,
and it wasn't. It's like Beastman's getting opportunities. He can't run a promotion right now when he's touring Japan. You know what I mean? And good for him.
He's for that. And
oh my God.
I remember he was Bulldozer, believe me. And I was like, oh, do another gimmick. And he did. And God bless him. And I told him that because he's like, Bubba, I could never get on an APWF show because you would never. And I'm like, I just didn't like Bulldozer.
I'm the
asshole.
You had to give me something sellable, man.
I mean, that Beastman stuff is big money.
That's a business.
God bless him. And it's huge.
I mean, hey, I want to work on the video team is a tough sell. I'm like, well, what have you shot? Like you got to show me that you can do this. Like I can't just throw you on hey, can you give me on a New Japan show? I'm like, what have you done? Like they don't just pick anybody up off the street, hopefully, unless they're really hurting for people. But that's with any business, He looks
amazing. He looks, when he comes through the curtain, like he's going to make little kids cry for weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and that's all money. Yeah. Very scary.
But no, like right now it's like, okay, is RWA covered? Cool. Is 880 covered? Cool. We're doing good stuff. Okay. We have a sponsorship with Enjoy now. Are they covered? Cool. Where's it? Bubba, what the hell are your dates? Okay, cool.
not me. For now, because it's very hard to do this business. It's very
Yeah.
hard, and
Oh yeah,
it's,
yeah.
you know,
And you're
it's
still in a building phase too, you know.
yeah,
And thankfully, it's like RWA is the only. Okay, 880 is more than monthly, but like classically, the only monthly one that I'm dealing with right now is RWA, and that has freed up my concentration a little bit. Let's say that.
right, right.
So and I'm okay
And
with, you know.
having a building so you could do production
Mhm.
is a key. We used
Yeah.
to have that back way back when. And it's very hard. If I did, believe me, I would have your
Mm.
guys coming up and doing whatever too, and getting some
Hmm.
training, because I always think
Uh,
I always look at the trees, before the forest. You know what
mhm.
I mean, or
And,
however it goes.
and that's not to say I don't miss those other groups. I miss 2PW, I miss VCW. Hell, I miss IWC from back in the day doing that.
Mm.
You know, um, I don't miss McKeesport, but
Well, it might be a little different now. I don't know.
I
Oh,
don't want to go back to Eastport,
yeah,
but
well,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. No, no. But I'm just saying experientially.
I
So,
understand. I understand.
hell, I even miss Black Diamond a little bit, you know.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, no, it's like, but all of it's like what got us here. Like, you know, I
But you have made, and I can say this because I've been to other places, your production and filming these companies in Western Pennsylvania has made it more legit. Because when I was in Florida, they were shitting on independent wrestling in Pittsburgh, and they were bad mouthing us tremendously. And what we have now, nobody can badmouth anything that goes on in Western and the surrounding area, because of the wrestlers that we have and the companies that we have, and your
Mhm.
production team that's videotaping all this stuff.
That and that's
So
and that's the thing. When I was sitting there watching IWC shows, and I'm like, these are bonkers, these are crazy. People are standing ovations every time. Oh my god, Ricky Reyes did this. Oh my god, Low Key did this. Ray Rowe's doing this. Why has nobody discovered Ray Rowe? And all these guys that came through between the Norm and the Chuck eras. Dalton Castle, RJ City. So like working with those guys was just tremendous over the years, and actually having a little bit of creative input. Talking about some ideas and stuff, right? It's and knowing that, like, you know they remember that, and the whole thing was like, what, how can we get this in front of other people? Like, I feel like I'm the only one that cares about getting this in front of more than the people in the stands, and nobody else got the equation. I feel like nobody else understood that equation until like the last few years, like I think, going into it, the only person that got that was like MV, that says we need to be streaming. What was it? How he say it? He said this, and it really stuck with me because it's what I thought in the back of my head, but could never express properly. It was like, we need to be streaming or nobody's going to care. I think is how he said that. It may not be exactly what he said,
yeah,
but it was
yeah,
just like, and that is it, because we were I got busy and we started post editing shows because I was like, well, whatever, I'll take another week to get out. People wait, nobody's clamoring for this, but I want them to be. Um, and yeah, and that's really what grew a lot of that stuff out of. So, and that's why I'm like, let's put Bubba Show up and see what happens,
and I
Yeah.
hey,
So,
when I had my buddy from Australia contact me, and he said, Bubba, I was watching your wrestling show from
mhm.
Australia. Right there, one person, and sometimes that's all it takes for me. Okay, and
Yeah.
and that was huge, and that was your idea, and that was all you telling me that night, Bubba. Let's stream this
Mhm.
worldwide. I'd never thought of that.
It's
I'd
also
never
my
thought of that.
default phase. It's like, oh, do I have two people? Cool. If I have two people and a car full of equipment, I can stream your show. Bubba, I literally just made an upgrade this past month because it's upgrade season because our big client is
Oh,
doing a lot of big stuff.
okay.
I could. This is the beautiful thing because it was like, okay, I'm finally happy with this setup. I can put a setup in a sizable Pelican case, if not two, fly wherever and do a wrestling show of a very decent quality. I
Okay.
am utterly confident I can pull that off right now. And not like, I've seen other guys do this, and it's like, wow, that looks okay, but it's not awesome. We did some of this for a group in Detroit last year that was just like, well, for this, I'm going to do this, this, and this, just because I'm not going to, we're not going to give you all the bells and whistles. But now
Right.
it's just like, oh no, I can throw this in a suitcase. You fly me somewhere in the United States and we can do a show. You know, if you got camera
There you
ops,
go.
all I need, somebody give me a TV.
There you go. Your phone's gonna be ringing. Maybe this podcast will hit explode, and then you'll be like, "Oh goddamn! I went on Bubba's show." And
We'll see. We'll see.
yeah. Well,
But
that's
I mean,
good though. That's the good thing about being the way you are, and how you don't want to cut corners,
no.
and you're not doing that, and you're trying to bring the best presentations that you possibly
Mhm.
can to every company, and even the companies that use you on a regular basis. You want to build those guys up too. So,
Yeah, and there's also a lot of factors like I'm really big on redundancy. If we did that, there's no redundancy. If something goes wrong, something goes wrong. You know what I mean? Like there ain't much fiction, you know, if with that set, but it becomes more travelable and things like that. Like these are the kind of problems I'm always solving with my busy brain. So and I literally need to do it because I need to figure out how to get equipment to Tucson, Arizona here in a month. And I was like, well, okay, I solved this problem. Holy crap, I can also do these 3 things too with this same equipment, you know. So
that just opens up your portfolio even more.
Yeah. Hey, how many video switchers does one man need in his studio? The answer apparently is 5.
See, I didn't know that.
They're all different sizes and do different things, but apparently the answer is 5.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no, I'm not making money from wrestling because it's all going into equipment.
Neither am I. I have to have a real job, and sometimes that's a headache. So
yeah, if you can call what I do a real job. So,
well,
but
you love doing that.
Oh,
so
and
you're good at it. Like even you're good on your Tuesday night show where you have to have a show every Tuesday when you're doing your Mayhem stuff. So I mean that is hard work too.
This is what I try to instill in the podcast class. It was just like you need to like there's a certain point where I said this is a thing I do every Tuesday night, regardless of what's going on, regardless of me sitting there and editing, and I want to stay up until 4 in the morning and still got 9 to 5 and 8 to 5 in the morning, you know. But it was a thing that helped me through the mental health. Is the one that helped me sharpen the skills because I'm not just talking here, you know, like I have a soundboard, I got a switcher, I got people coming in from here, I got to figure out how to interview you when you're on the show while I'm making sure this is happening and the chat room's happy and all
you're
this
doing
kind
a lot
of stuff.
You are doing a lot of stuff.
So
just not just hosting. You got other duties that you're doing while you're on the screen.
Right. So if I go to do a wrestling show and all I'm doing is switching the show and calling the shots in my ear, that's easy in comparison, right? Because I'm doing a more complicated thing every Tuesday night. I'm learning how to talk on the microphone. I'm learning how to ask questions. You know, hey, I feel so bad because they're like, "Oh, how many questions should I write down for an interview?" And I'm thinking in the back of my head to these kids, I'm just like, I don't really prepare anymore. I just know these people. They're just
right. But sometimes you just let them talk. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lead them along, and then because my wife is like, sometimes, babe, you have to learn to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And that was a big
Absolutely.
key. You know, listening is a big key that I've been working on.
Or figure out how to draw. It's one thing. Like I've had this conversation with somebody that I'd like have on my podcast. But I don't chase big podcast gets because I don't care. But every time I do the show, whether it's a wrestling show or it's this, or not this, but like my show.
Oh, I understand.
I do it as if nobody's watching because to me, I don't care if anybody's watching. Right. Maybe it's just I'm fully doing it for myself, and I know there's 3 people in the chat room that are having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I know there is a Patreon, so I know there's like 8 people that do care about this. And I don't look at the stats, and I put stuff out. I put the clips out, and we get some comments from here and there, and I'll see like, oh, there's 300 people, you know, and I'm happy with small numbers because there's a great app I used to use about Twitter metrics, and it said you have 50 followers. They could fill a subway train. You have 150 followers or likes or something. You could fill a small concert hall with that, and I put that visual in my head whenever I do see something like that. So my brain gets a little floaty when I do see 500 people in a chat room, I'll say. But yeah, that's I've been able to detach that, so I don't get sad when I don't think anybody's listening.
I don't either, and because I've been
like,
doing this a long time too. I'm just happy that this is my format of actually being able to do something because I can't entertain in a ring anymore. So my forte is now my mouth, which has always been my mouth, and I'm not going to change on who I am. based on the podcasting. I'm just going to be as entertaining as I can be. And if one
Yeah.
person listens or 100 people listen, God bless America.
And you get to flex that talking muscle, that entertainment muscle that's instilled on you from being a wrestler at that point, right? Like, and I think that's what's important, you know. And in the meantime, you're letting a lot of people in on the conversation that you want to have. You know, we talk about how we don't want to have the pro wrestling conversation. Most things are happening. Yeah, like I know the type of conversation we could be having on our show that would give us thousands of followers and thousands of viewers and everything like that. That is not the conversation that I think is sustainable for me personally, in my personality. And it's not the conversation I want to have, you know. That very divisive speak that happens, the tribalism. Like, we have conversations, and I try to tamp down people that get a little too crazy with it, but like, we have a good groups, and it's, you know, there's small but good groups, and with multiple people from across the country, and we're having real discussions, and not just like, God, that sucks, you know, or something like that. And I think that's really, really cool, you know. And other people like, oh, like stumble on it. I was like, oh, hey, this is a nice place. I think I'll stick around, you know. You know, it's kind of what I want out of that. It's for us, you know. And if other people get on board with it, cool. And in the meantime, like, who am I have? I just had Jazz and Blair on. Blair Zeleth on this past week. Yes. Like, nobody knows who they are yet.
But you give everybody an opportunity, and that's what that's what I do too, and you do too. You gave me opportunities to come on your show. You didn't have to, but you did.
But it's like, you don't need the practice, but these guys like need to get in front of the microphone and show people they have a personality. And I know a couple of them said like that was good practice for me to understand how to do this, you know, because they're going to get asked to do a podcast interview by some wrestling fan like I was back in the day that doesn't know how to talk to a wrestler and ask the same 3 stupid questions over and over again, respectfully. Like, oh, how's training? Was it tough to be in training? Like, I fell in that trap for a while. That's why I don't want to do interviews, because I feel like I'm asking the same damn thing all the time. So I invite people that I'm already talking to at shows, because I'm like, we can have a conversation for 2 hours. Let's go.
It's all about the experience. That's what I tell people. It's always about the experience. And if I can give people to talk about their experiences on my shows, like Slam and Sammy, you know what? I just, you know what? She's going places and she's traveling, and she had the opportunity to wrestle for me, and she come on the show, did a podcast. Now she's doing podcasts and bookings other places. Again, I'm happy for situations like that.
Isn't that a little bit what we're talking about? You need to kind of like, get them in the door, pop that cherry, and it's like, oh, this is what this is like. Cool, I can do more of this, right? Like, it opens that up, because I'm going to be on a podcast could be the scariest thing in these kids' heads.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But they get on with somebody like you or me that they already know, that can be friendly to them, that can kind of show them the ropes of it. And now, boom, 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 I see him on IW Guide, I see him on this, I see him on Grid and Glitter, you know, and I was like, great, that's awesome. Like freaking go.
Yeah, I mean, you do great. You do phenomenal stuff for you help a lot of the wrestling community around here. And if people haven't told you that, I'm going to tell you that, because you have, and you have made my stuff on video look so goddamn good. The graphics, you know what I mean? It's just me and my wife look, and I'm like, oh, this is a masterpiece. But it makes the product look good, and you're doing that to every company that you are doing it. Just not mine. You're doing it to 880. You're doing it to Enjoy. You're doing it to RWA. You're doing it to every company, and all these companies form some kind of thing where it's a lot of positive wrestling in the area, and they have you are the conduction and corner connecting piece to a lot of this stuff. You are. It's just facts are facts.
I'm just here.
You're
man.
one of them. You're one of them.
I'm just here. It's a Tuesday. I don't know anything else to do, man.
Well, you do great.
This is it.
And speaking of doing great, I want to ask you a couple questions before you get out of here, because I know you're a busy guy. And these are questions that aren't going to be crazy like, oh, God, Bub, what about this wrestling? No. What is your favorite movie of all time, Sorg?
God, it's a tie between Ghostbusters and the original Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah, that's the that's the pattern of my life.
I'm okay. I'm like that too. Okay, that's good. The
I might be a weird
Ghostbusters.
I might be a weirdo that likes the second one better.
The second Ghostbusters?
I'll wear that tape out.
I'll give you. Okay. I thought the first one was great when I saw it in the movies.
I was 7, Bubba.
That's okay. I was
probably 3
10.
when the first one came out. Bubba, I didn't understand half the jokes in Ghostbusters until about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, they were talking about that? Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll let you slide on that one. Okay. You have been to a lot of concerts and stuff. What is your favorite genre of music to listen to when, say, you and Miss are driving to a place and you're on the road? What are you putting in the
it's everything. You're talking about as a couple. Geez, what is our? I don't know. We're everywhere. I was just playing Bad Man John Cena on the way back from our thing, and I was like, oh, we're just gonna.
How do you like Cena being a heel? How do you like that?
Oh, you can listen to the Wrestling Mayhem show for that.
There you go, people.
You can see my my viral video with Megatron at Universal Studios for that.
I seen that. That was awesome. I like that. That was awesome. That was good.
I was on what like hey, you're on this now. Hey, you're on this now. I'm like, okay, they love me in Britain, I guess. So let's be honest. Megatron's a star. It's favorite genre. I mean, honestly, rock, some kind of rock Nirvana in this moment, poppy lately a lot. Okay. Insane Clown Posse is my go-to though. Twisted, like, I'm a juggalo headed to begin with. So
what do you see your company, any of your companies achieving going forward?
Well, you caught me at a crossroads. So I told myself in this moment, because I told you about where we're at with what promotions we're working with and the companies we're working with for my day job. Not day job, but I mean, this is all my day job practically. But I'm happy with where I at. I need to execute some really important stuff the next 3 months, and I am not thinking about any further goals until July.
Okay.
Also, I don't know where I'm going as a wrestling video producer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation about opportunities with somebody recently that's had opportunities and been some places, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going. Like I told you, I talked to AEW, and I'm just like, I don't know what the next thing is. I don't know who to talk to. I haven't figured it out, but also, I don't want to get in the trap of asking and not,
right.
It's just like, I'm just going to keep doing my thing and kicking ass until somebody thinks it's the right thing for them. You know what I mean? That's a terrible business model. Let's be honest about it. But the clients I have are growing. So like internally, so like that's, like they're asking us to do more things. So I'm happy where I'm at, and I'm just going to always keep an eye out and be ready for the next thing and the next opportunity. And that's basically what I've been doing for the last several years.
And you actually just answered the next question I had, where you see yourself in 5 years, and you see yourself what you just said.
Brother, I ain't retiring.
What?
I'm doing some version of this as long as I'm physically able. There's no saving. Nope.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Somebody screwed up my 401k when I had the day job. I'm like, well, that's not realistic to me.
And if you ever try to get out, they pull you back in anyway. Believe me, I'm telling you.
And that's the other thing. Like if I'm not in a production environment flying without a net, I'm not fucking living, dude. And I can try to do that longer than you can take bumps. So
I can't take a fucking bump to save my life. Lord.
Case in point, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Like I'm like, all right, like as long as I can go, and I'm still with myself, and like I'm going to do some version of this. Will that modify as I get to a certain age? Probably, and I'll figure that out when I get there. But also, a lot of things we were able to do a lot of things now I wasn't able to do 10 years ago. Financially, like the equipment that I just pulled together for a thing this next month that costs
whatever.
It costs a fraction of what it did 10 years ago. Let's just say that. Okay. It's just like, oh my God, I'm spending all this money. It's going in and out from the client stuff. But it was like, oh, this was like, we couldn't have done this 10 years ago. We literally could not have done this 10 years ago without, a 6-figure, investment by somebody.
Okay. My last question of this lovely interview. One word that describes you.
I've been loving this word ungovernable lately.
That's a good one. I like that one.
I saw it in a meme or a t-shirt with a raccoon, and I've been using it everywhere. Specifically, Tyler Klein the other night on the Top Rope Tabletop show has the shirt with the brassiere on it that he goes, and he's got this like just this shitting grin on his face, and he reposted it, and I just said, "Be ungovernable," you know. So, yeah, no, I think you know, I think we are. I believe in, how do I want to put this? Because I've been working on this in my head, especially over the last several months. My defiance is in how I do little things from day to day. Who I choose to represent on my platforms and everything like that.
And you do help a lot of people out. So.
And I get really upset when somebody tries to tell me what to do.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Really? Let's see about that. And I've been like that for a while, even in a small piece.
Nothing wrong with
that. But yeah, that's more words, but you know, that's where I'm at right now. It's like, yeah, no, we're going to do this. And yeah, I don't know. I just, yeah. And it's also probably being around this business too long and being sick of shit.
Yeah.
I ain't fucking doing this anymore.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, I feel you. Yep. Well, you got to tell people sometimes how it is, and if they don't like it, you're going to tell them anyway, because that's how I am.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey,
it doesn't soften you, but it just doesn't harden you. But you just try to be as real as you can be.
And I want people. Are we on a closing moment here? Can I leave you with a closing moment?
It's all you now, brother.
Beautiful thing that I've learned through my friend Jim Nellermeyer on the Fishing Without Bait podcast we do. There is no, you have to do something. There is, I get to do something. You know, you don't have to literally do anything in your life. And that includes you guys in the pro wrestling world. You don't have to be at that promotion that treats you like shit. You don't have to be here. You know, you can literally not be doing that, whether that not be wrestling, because maybe it's not for you. It's a decision that you have to make. But also, there are greener pastures. When I got out of Pittsburgh and started working out for other promotions and saw how shit can go, that opened my eyes in 2000 or 2020. Not enough zeros. That opened my eyes in 2020, and that changed my entire perspective on working with professional wrestling.
That's very profound. Also, very profound.
Which is also where I amped up. Get the fuck out of Pittsburgh if you're having a problem here. If you don't think you're being treated, if you don't think people are showing your worth, wherever you are, it's not just a Pittsburgh problem, then you need to go somewhere else and figure out what value you have, because that's how you're going to get anywhere, by showing your value.
Well said. Well said, Sorg. Well said. Wow, that was awesome. I've never done, I'm usually on the other side of you doing this. So
I'm usually on the other side. I'm usually the one giving, you know, and just saying profound things maybe into the air that I don't know if anybody's listening.
So how can everybody get a hold of you? Can you got the whole time to plug everything you want to plug before we get out of here?
If you're on the video, type in Sorgatron on about any platform, you'll find me. Sorgatron Media is technically the studio here in Beachview, Pennsylvania, right in the last mile. Actually, that's not true. They opened up another tracks on the T here up in Allentown again. But Sorgatron on all the social media is the starting point. Boom. Sorgatron Media is the podcast network /studio, and also where we hide in the back and do the business.
Right there.
Wrestling Mayhem show is every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. If you like tech, Awesome Cast is at 8 p.m. We do carry on the Sorgatron Media our friends at Fishing Without Bait. Again, is Indy. I can't remember what Jim LaMotta's new show is called, but it's really cool.
It's very good. I like that. I've listened to it. Very good.
I listened to their top 5 influential figures, and that was like I finally got a chance to sit down and listen to it and be like, yeah, you're on the network. Let's go. You know, so I'm going to try and get more eyeballs on earballs on him. Yeah.
Right. And also,
they mentioned
you do this too.
That too in your wrestling. Also, I want to give a shout out again is MB. That's Eamon that does commentary for VCW, and Merlin. They often talk about reality shows, which is basically the same as talking about professional wrestling.
It's the same, yes.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Indywrestling.us. You can check out all back catalogs for a lot of the promotions. Ton of stuff free on YouTube. Thursday nights is Thursday night fights is Thursday nights. Not well. Technically, we'll have one this week. It won't be live because I'm in California, and we figured out how to do that.
That's good.
Oh God,
that
I got
saves
stories.
You. That saves a little bit.
I got stories just from the last 2 shows we did at 880. They could fill another hour and a half.
Oh, I know. I know.
But it's a good time down there. And Indywrestling Studios, Sorgatron Sidekick Media Service technically is the company that actually has clients and has does stuff. So, but yeah, so that is, I think, everything I need to plug. That's the trio of things.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, Sorg, and I appreciate you coming on. And I wanted to do this for a long time. We finally got it. Anytime you ever want to come on and you have anything that you need to produce and put out there, you have an open invite. I tell everybody once they do this show, it's an open invite anytime, any place, anywhere. That's how I am. And I do respect you for what you do. And you do a lot of stuff for independent wrestling around here in a positive way. And that's awesome in a state where sometimes back in the day, it wasn't so positive.
Nope. No, thank you so much, Bubba. It's been a pleasure, and it's been awesome to get to know you after these last several years through Fight Underground on. So that's why when you said, hey, I'm doing APWF, I'm like, I'm in.
I appreciate it.
You know, I love the stuff when we worked together on Fight Underground, and I wanted more of it.
God bless you.
And I
like to give more. I like to give more, and I like to get some more shows. By the grace of God, I'm working on it. But
don't do more. Don't burn yourself out, man. You know what I mean?
No.
And like, if you just doing a summer tour every year, that is fine, brother. That you
1 or 2 shows maybe. It's so hard, and I try to get everybody booked as I can.
No,
it's so hard I can't book everybody, and I've already told them that.
You do not have to be a sicko like me that thinks they have to be everywhere all the time. Okay, like that's you know, or these monthly runners and stuff. You know, I've seen the burnout, man. I've seen
I just like to support. I like to support independent wrestling, and I do on my shows on Fridays, and I try to plug as many times as many people as I can.
Yep.
And that's why my podcasting can help out in other ways besides running my shows too. So it is what it is. I'm like you. Yep. I'm not getting out of it anytime soon. So
no. Yeah. Hey, this is my social life, is getting on podcasts and doing wrestling shows. So
there you go.
Know what I mean?
Mine too. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Sorg, thank you so much. Like I said, as always, you guys will check it out. I will have all his links in the it's going to be on YouTube and Spotify. I'll have all the links. You guys can check him out Tuesday nights, Wrestling Mayhem show. At what time? It's at 9 o'clock, I believe, right?
9 p.m. Awesome Cast at 7 p.m. on those platforms as well. And we stream basically everywhere. Just look up Sorgatron Media Wrestling Mayhem show, and you'll probably find us.
There you go, people. Thank you so much, Sorg. Thank you, people, for listening. You are listening to the Triple B Experience. You guys have a great night and a better tomorrow. See you later.